Today on Marvel Movie News, we've got more rumors. Ant-Man 3 is canceled. Deadpool will be making his MCU debut. Plus, which MCU movie are you okay with seeing only once? All of that and more. Marvel Movie News starts now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Good afternoon to you, our merry Marvelites. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another rumor-filled show. We've got tons and tons of rumors. We are Marvel Movie News. This is episode number 247, coming to you live from Hank Pym's lab. Yeah, that's right. We're there.
Is it his lab in 1970?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the one I want to be in.
Yeah, of
that's
course.
Gonna be great. Okay.
Be in today's lab.
No.
Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes at Marvel Movie News or find us at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. You can also find us through the Popcorn Talk website, popcorntalknetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTN or at the Popcorn Talk. And also, if you tweet this link to our show with a message telling people about the live chat, we will retweet you. And also, thank you to Colt Bedeau tweeting for us from the Starjammer. So he's been helping us out a lot with tweets the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've leaned on him the last couple weeks.
Yeah, so we really appreciate that.
We need to fill out some of these topics. But more importantly, who are we?
Yeah, maybe we should talk about ourselves
Especially who's this strange person who is not a newbie to Marvel Movie News, but this is only his second appearance here. So most people are like, who is that?
I don't know. Who's this guy?
Who's this handsome man?
This is our special guest, Jeff Duray.
Hey.
Hello.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
I thought so.
And you may know Jeff from the Black Cast, where you can find me, Christian Bladt, and sometimes our fearless leader. Ladle?
I'm a
fearless ladle. She serves soup.
I'm a spoon. Yeah, I'm on that show sometime. I'm Xia Anderson, but before we talk about me, what about Christian?
I said my name already. Christian Bladt. Still Whatever. Christian Bladt of the Black Cast.
I just call you Christian DMZ, you know.
Well, that's because of my branding. Mm-hmm. And Zach Wilson on assignment for one more week. I'm pretty sure that he was caught by Hydra, but he did not reveal any of our secrets, and allegedly he'll be back next week.
Allegedly.
Well, because
what if they let him go?
You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna lean into the mic and whisper in the Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Oh, see, look, they've already gotten Ryan in the booth.
They got Ryan, guys. They got Ryan. I guess we may as well just jump right in with our biggest story because it's only a rumor. This is another one of those things that it's only a rumor, and we always hear these rumors, and we take it and we run with it, and then if we find out it might not be true. But
I mean, if there were a lot of like actual news coming on, we probably wouldn't dive into these rumors.
Right.
But all we've got right now is rumors and innuendo. So that's the space that I live in. Yeah.
So this particular rumor is saying that Ant-Man 3 is actually canceled. And that we might be getting it as a Disney Plus show instead.
Yeah. That's surprising, but at the same time, if you're like, all right, what if there's two options? Option one on the table is no Ant-Man. Option two is Disney Plus Ant-Man. Then I'm on board with the Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, but I'm surprised because I think that both Ant-Man movies didn't do exceptionally. But look, the first one did well enough that they made a second.
The second one did good.
I feel like the second one, box office was all right.
Yeah.
But I like the character. I want to see more of him. And I would be a little surprised. But look, it's not announced for Phase 4. But we also didn't get Black Panther 2 or Captain Marvel 2 in there either. So this being a rumor makes me wonder, okay, are they just guessing? But let's go from the point of view that it's not happening. And that's how I feel. But how do you feel, Xia?
I'm kind of bummed. Honestly, I have enjoyed the movies. They're just like a fun, lighthearted way, because all the movies are great. I love watching all of them, but it's this kind of a fun, lighthearted way to watch those movies and just kind of relax, because you know you're going to go in and just have a good time and laugh. And I love Paul Rudd, so I'm willing to watch him in just about anything, so that's fine. So I'm a little bit bummed that we're not going to get those movies, but like you said, if it's a choice between no Ant-Man or Ant-Man on Disney Plus, I'll take it on Disney Plus. I'll take it any way I can get it. And I'm assuming that it's still going to have a pretty decent budget,
Yeah.
because of Disney Plus, they're putting money into that for real.
Look, if you're like me and you've already pre-purchased 3 years of Disney Plus, you kind of want everything to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, just put it all.
It's like, no.
All the movies, too.
All the Phase 4
All of
movies,
them.
just put them on Disney Plus because I've already bought them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to go to the movie. Put Eternals on there. I'm mostly kidding. But,
Well,
Jeff.
my first question is, you're going to make something 4 times longer because it didn't do well? Right?
It's a great point.
A Disney Plus show is like 6 hours versus an hour and a half Ant-Man movie. So I'm just saying,
true.
like,
That's a great
it
point.
seems like a kind of questionable strategy if that's the issue.
Right.
But I'm totally down for it because I enjoyed Ant-Man. I thought the first one was spectacular because it was kind of a divergence from what we had been getting from the MCU. It was original and funny. So if we get more of that, or if you maybe even would do better episodically because it's like maybe the Ant-Man's, pun intended, adventures are a little small.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was nice.
But I would enjoy it as a Disney Plus content. It just seems like if an automatic solution to things that don't do well in the box office is like, we'll make a show out of it. That just seems like a recipe for disaster down the line.
Or you could go the reverse, is Inhumans really didn't work as a TV show, so let's make a movie.
Yeah.
But to your initial point, I think the idea is you're not asking people to spend, let's just say, somewhere between $15, $20 to go see it in the movies. It's like, well, you're already paying for Disney Plus, so maybe you'll be more excited for an Ant-Man series than you would be for paying. Because that's 3-4 months of Disney Plus to go see it in the theater, and you're going to get all this other stuff. So if they're smart, and look, Disney is very smart in terms of getting you to part with your money, you got to figure that they're going to stagger all those shows so that, none of them are on at the same time, but there will always be one Marvel show on. So if they would have to turn Ant-Man into a TV show, it'll slot in somewhere, maybe between Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight or something, just hypothetically.
I mean, yeah. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know in the chat, in the comments below. I'm curious to see how everyone feels about it. If they're like, they want to watch the movie, if they want to watch the show, if they'll take anything, whatever. Just give me some Ant-Man. I don't know. It seems kind of weird. They seem like successful movies to me, and that's a really good point, Jeff. You don't want to watch an hour and a half. We got 6 for you. Don't worry about it.
Look,
We got you.
a lot of people in the chat are stressing the fact that this is a rumor, and that's why we said at the top it's a rumor.
Absolutely.
And people are wondering, the rumor started from a website called looper.com. Sometimes we say where our rumors come from, sometimes we don't. But people were asking. And I think that, look, it's a great point. Thunder God says a third movie was never confirmed to begin with. He or she would be fine with a Disney Plus show. Yeah, we haven't been promised Ant-Man 3. It's not like it's being snatched away from us. It's like, well, for his adventures to continue, for he and Janet's adventures to continue, maybe that's where it has to be. And we're not treating this like it's fact. It's more like, well, let's have this conversation. What if... Which will also be a Disney Plus show.
Hey.
I'm so smart.
Good job.
But what if, imagine if that was an episode. What if Ant-Man 3 didn't happen and it ended up on the same streaming service? So that would not be a good episode of What If.
No, that would be a really bad one.
But I'd watch. So yeah, that's why we're talking about it, And look, in the weeks ahead, we're going to probably talk about rumors more than we would have otherwise because some of them are interested, We're going to talk about more rumors and theoretical things in this episode.
And some rumors come true and some don't, but that's the fun of it. Is we all get to talk about it heatedly, especially on the internet. Everyone freaks out, and then it never comes to pass. And it's really fun to watch.
Comment I want to read from the chat because of the username.
Oh.
The Blair Bitch Project says,
Love it.
Ant-Man is my favorite series personally, and I think that it's worth mentioning. I think that a lot of people are expecting Ant-Man to still be in the movies, but if this is where it ends up, people seem to be reasonably happy with it. This isn't like, oh yeah, no more Spider-Man movies. He's only going to be on TV now. The eventual Sony streaming service, which when I mentioned, our co-host Zach was like, no, it's coming. You're probably about right. There will definitely be if you look at who has a streaming service, like Sony's going to do it. It's going to happen.
Everyone has one now.
I know.
Guys, I might as well just buy cable at this point.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get those shows.
No, you get better stuff on the streaming services.
You wonder, though, because Sony already has a different kind of streaming service. They have PlayStation View, right?
point.
So they have a service streaming regular channels. So would you, if you're going to create an additional streaming service, and you already have all these platforms, because you have PlayStation, which you have to service as Sony. So are you going to create it as apps for PlayStations? Are you just going to create it as a channel for your streaming service that already exists? Like, I think that could be a little bit more complicated than you initially thought.
That's a good point, because it's going to be hard for people that, you're right, already have PlayStation, be like, wait, so you want me to now pay for another streaming service to then watch these shows, but I already pay for this. I don't know. Yeah, it's...
Look,
you have to combine
I know this isn't
maybe.
really our topic, but it's confusing when you get like, okay, so you already have HBO Go, but that's not HBO Max. So are you going to have to get two HBO streaming services? And I don't know what, or HBO Now and HBO Go.
HBO Now, I thought, was just the streaming service, so that because so many people are cord cutting,
Right.
you don't need to have a subscription for the service.
Right.
You can still subscribe to the service.
Yeah, so that's HBO Now. But I mean, is there going to just be HBO Max, or is that in addition to it? I don't know the answer. You know,
I thought, and maybe this could be another just rumor, I thought that it was just going to be, is it HBO Now is the new thing that they're doing?
Well, HBO Max.
HBO Max was
Yeah.
just going to be all of it. It was going to be like all encompassing. But I don't know if
it
that's
is.
true.
And-
If it's not, then we're going to make problems.
This is relevant, guys, because
No, 'cause,
this is how we get
And
all
here's
of our
the thing,
content.
So much of the content is on Disney that Disney Plus is included, but we've already talked about Sony and Spider-Man. Whether they were playing nice with their movies going forward or not,
Yeah.
Sony would still have the rights. So you're not going to get Spidey. And that, look, they have Fox now, but I'm sure that if they hadn't bought Fox was probably getting pretty close to an app themselves, So if you can be glad for that reason, because you'll get the X-Men movies.
Yeah,
So,
that's definitely something. And then
Yeah.
you also get Hulu, which you're going to then have shows like Ghost Rider and Hellstrom. And that's also, no, that's MODOK and...
no, but they're all Hulu shows.
They're all
'Cause,
Hulu shows.
Ghost Rider, Hellstrom are live action. MODOK, Howard the Duck, Dazzler and Tigra, and I've forgotten somebody else.
I know, for some reason, I can't think of which one it is.
I'm so mad at myself. Oh, Hit Monkey.
There you go.
That's why I forgot it. Sorry, Hit Monkey.
Sorry, Hitmonkey.
I love Hit Monkey when it's on.
I don't know like half those characters.
It's because
Do you know
they're,
Howard the
they're,
Duck?
like deep
I
reaches.
know Howard the Duck because I've seen the horrible 80s movie.
Yeah,
and I've
you
also
did.
seen
And
him
by
in the
that,
MCU movies.
you mean classic
Yeah.
George Lucas classic.
You know who actually showed me that movie for the first time? A mutual friend of ours who now lives in Rancho Cowabunga.
Oh, that seems like somebody who would love.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, seems like somebody that would love that movie. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you think in the chat.
Yeah, that's an interesting rumor. We do have more rumors. There's also rumors, and I feel like talking about this without Zach here, it almost feels like blasphemy, but we have to.
Yeah, well, we've already talked about.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about Ant-Man not happening, and that's like one of his favorites. And now we're going to go on to a topic that we have talked about before, but it's in the news now.
It is.
And this one's from Cinema Blend. If everybody wants to know where we're getting our rumors from, that's where this one's from.
They're getting their rumors from people. We'll see. Who knows? But there are rumors that the MCU might portray Professor X and Magneto as people of color, and this is something that I know that Zach had talked about them being modeled after like Martin Luther King and
Malcolm X.
Thank you, Malcolm X.
Denzel Washington.
Well, because my brain went Professor X.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not right.
But that's the odd thing is that
that's
Professor X is actually not Malcolm X.
It's not Malcolm X.
Magneto would
it
be
would
Malcolm
be
X,
the switch.
yeah.
Anyway, modeled after that, and in the sense of the way that he put it, it kind of made sense. I would like to get, but I do have other thoughts on it, but I would like to get your thoughts, what you think of them going that route. I mean, again, it's just rumors. We don't know, but the possibility.
It's worth talking about.
It's worth talking about.
It's come up a few times, and look, the idea is certainly out there that their backstory is going to change. At some point, you can't have Magneto be a Holocaust survivor. He's just going to be too old.
So
He's going to be too
Unless
old.
he could just freeze them in ice.
That's a good. You could.
Do you think Bobby Drake would do that?
Yeah.
Omega level mutant Bobby Drake, the Iceman, would do that?
Yeah.
What we've talked about it before, but Jeff, what do you think about this idea of Professor X and Magneto being people of color?
It's one of those things where I don't hate it. Like if it happened, I'd be okay. I'd watch it to see how it plays out. But it doesn't seem necessary because I can't see what that immediately adds to either of those characters. Like what part of making them people of color changes or enhances the background or what we know, just like the driving forces of either of those characters. I'd much rather you create entirely new characters to live in the mutant universe that can be people of color that could have been doing their own thing. Like, I want an original story. You know, we're already going and retrending stories because we've had X-Men TV shows and movies and this and that. So why not just come up with something completely original if you want to have this representation of diversity? Because nobody's against that, or I would hope people aren't against that necessarily, but it's just like, do something original and don't change a character and call that original, because that's not.
I'm basically of a similar mind. And this is another reason why gender bending bothers me so much, and I've talked about it a lot on this show, and a lot on other shows, is that it feels lazy. It's like, okay, we need more we do need more diversity. Let's get more females, let's get more people of color. We need all of that. And I think that's a great goal to have in not just the MCU, but everywhere really. And so nobody's, like you're saying, nobody's against that, but to me it feels kind of lazy, instead of being like, hey, let's create this new character, or let's pull from characters that are already there that we can use and we can tell their story, or creating new ones. It's like, oh, well, we need a woman, so let's just make this guy a woman.
Right. I mean,
it's kind of insulting. I mean, it's a little bit. It's
literally what they did with Captain Marvel, and that was in the comics before the movie. You know, they decided that Ms. Marvel would become Captain Marvel to replace Marvel. But to sort of the point, and Jeff and I, well, the three of us were all talking about this before the show. And if you're going to have these sort of cornerstones of the differing views of mutants and, you know, how they approach their worldview, I don't know that there's no reason that they would have to be people of color. Anytime we talk about this, make it a good story. And if it makes sense, great. That's what you should do. Absolutely tell that story. Yeah. I'm on board if it's not an interesting idea, I'm still going to go. But that certainly can be well done. And I can see that. But when we were talking before, it's of course, look, if you look at the mutant experience and the way mutants are treated, you can take a lot of groups who can feel marginalized. You can certainly point to people of color. You can point to homosexuals. I mean, I feel like just the way that mutants are talked about and treated, just look at X2 alone. If you were to take the script and find and replace mutants and put gay, it's really, well, okay, it's not the same story because they don't have powers, but you know what I mean? The approach toward them, it's the same. So I think you can extend it to another group, but mutants is already one of those groups. So here's the thing. It's like, if Professor X is a person of color, why does Magneto have to be? You know, I mean, they don't both have to be. You know, it's almost like, why are you telling the story? And if it's like, we should check out these auditions we got, because these are the guys who were best for the part. That's a great reason.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
If you're like, you know what, we thought that we were going to do them as white again, but then look at these two guys on camera. This was great. Idris Elba somehow played both of them. I don't know how he did it, but he shaved off the mustache for being Magneto. It was great split screen work.
I was literally just going to say that I know that Christian and I have literally brought this up before. If it's Idris Elba, then fine.
Yeah. He can play.
Put him wherever you want.
He can play anyone.
Put him wherever you want.
Yeah.
I was also just thinking, or just even realizing, it seems like a disservice to change Professor X into a person of color when you could literally just go to later in the X-Men timeline when Storm's in charge and you have a woman of color in that role. Like, there you go. Problem solved.
Storm led the X-Men at a point when she did not have powers. That's how badass Storm is. She had lost her powers for a few years. And she's like, she still beat Cyclops in a fight. That'll tell you a lot about Scott Summers.
And she had a mohawk. Can we please?
She's so awesome with the mohawk. I love that. Ryan, I know this is a tangent, but can you please bring up Mohawk Storm? I believe Uncanny X-Men, maybe 173, but that might not be right. But it's just like when we first got to see her. It's just going to
be a tornado of mohawks.
Yeah, but any image that you can get. Yeah, it's just like, and she's got the leather jacket.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I did catch that.
Yeah, and by the way, Ivan Soto in the chat said Lance Reddick for Professor Xavier if they were to do that. Lance Reddick, whom people know from The Wire, but also from
Lost.
Lost, but I was going to also say Fringe. Yeah, he's a great choice. And look, this is the Storm that we need. I don't know if it's the Storm we deserve, but this is the Storm that we should get. And yeah, she could absolutely be continuing the dream of Charles Xavier, whatever his racial background was at the time.
And it might even be worth it to... they're just such beloved characters. It's hard to say this because you love Professor X and Magneto, but maybe it's time to just tell different stories. Maybe it is time to tell these stories. Maybe it's time to something. We've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
Although I would love to see how Disney
Yeah, I feel like
tackles it,
we're
'cause-
gonna get one more take of Professor X.
But
and
I would be
Magneto.
okay if after that we didn't get that anymore.
Yeah.
Because you've been reading about it and watching it so much. There's so many other stories that you can tell from other people. I don't know. I think that there's other ways you could do it. Gamer Girl, Idris for Magneto and Denzel for Professor X. How could you hate that? That's the other thing. You just can't.
I love that.
You just can't. So moving on to yet more rumors. Is anyone surprised?
Tell the truth.
Yeah, please. So it does sound like there's now rumors saying that Deadpool is going to finally make his MCU debut in 2021.
The reason I believe this rumor is that it's 3 years away, and that's a long time without
long
Deadpool.
time.
And Deadpool's going to make a lot of money, whatever universe he's in. So I think that's probably accurate. But I don't know that he would. So they're saying make his MCU debut. I think it's just the next Deadpool movie. And I don't know how much time they're going to spend figuring out, like, okay, and then he's going to interact with other characters. So I expect the next time we see Deadpool, it will be Deadpool 3. It might not be called that, but I don't think he's going to show up in an Avengers or other movie first.
They just do a Christmas special where it's when Deadpool got the Infinity Gauntlet and he makes everybody show up to that theater so that they can all like watch his show.
I mean, yeah.
I would love that.
Here's my appearance in the MCU.
Yeah, look, here I am.
Everybody watch it. Well, do you think that, and I feel like I read this, but now I'm not finding it, that they would have him just sort of as in, oh yeah, here we go. There's to gradually introduce him as well as including him in a post-credit scene at the end of Black Widow. I don't know. I don't see that happening.
0% chance that's going to happen.
And this is from We've Got This Covered. That's what this rumor is from.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
got it covered.
Apparently, well, they've got the rumors covered. I don't know if they have their, in actual reporting, there's something called second sourcing, and we don't do that here. We just say, like, sounds like a good topic, and we're going to talk about it. But I think it's, I think that, look, people can come up with all these different ways that they can do it. I think that Disney is really going to take their time with all the mutant characters, but it would make sense that Deadpool's who we see first, but it's going to be in his story. And if somehow that story were to bring mutants over to the MCU in some way, even if it's like, yes, this existing universe now crosses over to it, or if like maybe the Deadpool movie is called like the Deadpool reboot, and we see him because he's such a meta character. You see him on screen like he's like, but now I'm like this, and now this is Colossus, and and they just go through that way. It'd sort of be like Deadpool's destroys the Marvel universe, except it's more that Deadpool Disney-fies the Marvel universe. By the way, I think that would be a really inventive idea. I don't know that they
definitely
would do
see a scene of Deadpool dressed up, like sitting behind the chair, doing the thing where he's like eating, scrolling through his phone while Ryan Reynolds is reading lines, and he's just ignoring him completely.
See, there's so many things you could do with that character to bring him into the MCU, and they could be creative, they could be hilarious. I don't know, I can't wait.
You already have him murdering Ryan Reynolds on the set of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
So you've already gone that far. So it's like, well, what's next?
Yeah, just do whatever you want. That's the great thing about that character. You can literally do whatever you want. And I just thought of this, even though I had talked about this outside of this show, kind of going back a little bit. You know who I would also like to see more of? Bishop. Can we get more of Bishop on the big screen, please? Thank you.
2 points from Jack Dennis in the chat. Deadpool being the first mutant movie in the MCU would be weird. I don't know that it would be an MCU movie in the traditional sense. I think it's another movie that, yes, has a Disney logo at the beginning of it, but you would still have kind of the Fox sensibility. And whether they have it fit in or not, I think remains to be seen. You don't want to mess too much with what worked for Deadpool. And we have a great image of Bishop from that's from Days of Future Past, right?
I think that's from Days of Future Past.
only
How
one
badass is that? That is so
I
awesome.
know.
Yeah.
Can we see more of that character? It's such a great one.
I always
tell
used
you
to
this,
get Bishop and Cable like mixed up from the cartoon.
I'll give you a hot take right now.
I did that also.
I would rather see a Bishop movie than a Gambit movie. Yep, don't at me. All right?
Everyone's in agreement.
Yeah,
No one's
like I
at
don't
you.
know how to do.
people love Gambit. I'm like, nah,
I
next.
like
He's okay.
Gambit too. He's fine,
No,
but part of an ensemble.
No,
I prefer.
I liked the 1990s cartoon version of Gambit when he was just like being sexually inappropriate. Like basically a version of a guy that can't exist in today's society. That was Gambit. Like in those, Oh, mon chéri, you said no, but this means yes.
That's true.
Somehow he
But it's
ended up
like-
marrying Rogue.
That's true. In the comics, he did marry Rogue, even though they can't touch. But that's besides the point.
I figured it out.
They can use their imagination.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, I would still legitimately really love to see him in the MCU. This is not a rumor. We actually have one that isn't a rumor. I don't think anyway.
Well, we're like 30 minutes into the show, and we finally have our first fact.
Hey, look at that.
But this is exciting.
This is exciting. I'm excited about it because I was not ready to say goodbye, and I don't think anyone else was either. But we are going to get to see Robert Downey Jr. take on the role of Iron Man one more time in Black Widow.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's not dead because that's set
Going back
after
in
Civil
time.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine,
So thank
which
God.
means that we can see him. We can kind of see him whenever they want to.
Yeah.
Because any movie would be like, but this scene is set before that, and look who's here! Oh my God, it's Tony Stark.
You think that
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is like, can you please stop making these movies? Because I was done with this role a long time ago.
Can I ask a quick question, y'all?
Yes.
So is this going to be archive footage, or is he actually like putting it on, getting dressed?
I don't
acting?
think they would do that. Look, he doesn't have to be Iron Man. He might just be Tony. In it,
Yeah.
you know, and Natasha. I almost called her Scarlet, which I usually do with Scarlett Johansson, Scarlet Witch. It's all very confusing. But he might just because Natasha's on the other side of the Civil War from him. So he might just be like, "What are you doing?" You're supposed to be on this side. You're not a superpowered person. Why are you on Cap's team? Why are you not team me, Tony Stark?
They should just do a sitcom trope where Nick Fury leaves at the beginning of the movie, and so like Tony goes off to do a bunch of debauchery, and then Natasha goes off, and then at the end they come back together. And it's like, I won't tell if you don't.
Sounds great. Just rewrite the whole movie. I want that.
Look, I think that he can come back anytime they want to if it's set in the post-Endgame continuity. It's like, oh, look, we've got a hologram of Tony. They can do it anytime they want to.
They have time travel. They could just go get him.
That's a great point, too.
That's a great point.
Yeah. They're like,
Oh, look, Iron Man's back.
do you want me to get Tony, or would you like me to get 7 Tonys? Because I'll just do that from different times.
And then that way, if we lose one, we've got like
we got
six
6
backups,
yeah.
so it's cool.
We'll just put them in the cases where he puts the armor, put actual Tony Starks in there. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
We'll get a new one.
It's totally cool. And when RDJ is like 65, we'll have him retire.
Yeah.
And then still come back. I don't know. Do you think that that's a role that we're going to see recast at any time?
Not Tony Stark, but I think someone else will be Iron Man, and I don't
Okay.
think it's necessarily Rhodey.
All right.
I thought this could just be, I thought I had heard them talking about having, what's her name? The girl version of Iron Man
Yes,
that came out.
that is
more
one.
recently.
That's one of the things that people might expect, and I actually forget the name of that character. Sorry, everyone.
It's like CC
Lazy.
or something. It's something like that, where
Yeah.
it's like a.
But it's a young. She's like high school age,
Yeah.
African American, and she becomes Iron Man. So yeah, I think that is a fairly likely scenario. I do think Rhodey's going to still be around, though. I
hope so.
I don't think the War Machine movie's happening. I think that's something we've been told pretty uncertain terms. But I think that the iron suits are going to be around, but I don't think we're going to see Tony recast. Maybe in an appropriate amount of time,
Are we
the character
looking
of his
40
daughter,
years,
the character of
50
his
years?
maybe
Oh.
the character of his daughter becomes a more Tony-like character. Maybe they do that. They have her, they age her up the way they did Ant-Man's daughter. All of a sudden she's just older, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm running the company now."
I mean, they already cast that one girl for that.
Yeah, Pepper can't be bothered. Oh yeah, the girl from 13 Reasons
13
Why
Reasons
Not
Why.
was cut out of the movie. Yeah, 13 Reasons Why I'm Not in this movie.
13 reasons why not to watch the show.
It's not 13 Reasons Why she wasn't in the movie.
Reason number 1, it's about suicide.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's I don't know. Some people like stories about that, but I think we could see. I forget that actress's name too, but we could easily see that character.
I want to say Katie Langford. Something
Maybe.
like that.
I thought you were going to say Katie Lang, the singer, and I was like, you are way off. But in any case, I don't know. I'd like to see him again, but honestly, if we never see Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man again, it's going to be okay because we said goodbye to him.
We had 10 years.
And I'm okay if we don't see him again. But if they're able to put him in movies that are set earlier, look, we don't know when Captain Marvel 2's set. Probably Tony's alive in that time frame. Maybe they meet then, even though they're technically meeting for the first time in Endgame.
I mean, I would like
Yes,
to.
Catherine Langford, very good.
Nice. I would like to see them do basically the same thing with the MCU that they've done with comic books, but slightly differently, where it's like, hey, this guy's gone, and now we're moving on, and time passes, and new characters can come into these roles. Now, I understand usually then you end up rebooting it after a while. But I'm just saying, like, let's just do that. Let's progress, right?
Well,
let's continue these stories into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm honestly pretty hyped that we're getting stories like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, because they're lesser known, but they are gonna. I think they're gonna be equally as good. We might not.
And let's remember, Iron Man was not a very well-known character.
Wasn't, yeah.
He'd had a cartoon, but he, Disney, well, Marvel Studios at that point, wasn't even Disney, had to go into their B-list characters because they sold away all their best characters. So they're like, oh, I don't know. Let's see. People want to see Iron Man? Yeah, Captain America, sure. But definitely not Thor. Nobody wants Thor in a movie. Let's try it anyway. So yeah, I think that they have the confidence. And look, these characters, I just said it earlier in the show. If you tell a good story, people are going to like that.
Yeah. So. I don't care what it is that you're going to make me. If it's good, I'm going to watch it and then I'm going to watch it anyway. If it's bad, I won't watch it again. But if it's good, I will watch it again.
Yeah, that's
If it's
true.
bad, I'll watch it too, but only once.
But only one time. No matter what, they're going to get my money. But I like that we're telling these other stories. It's the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. They were very, very lesser known characters, and now they're friggin' beloved. Everybody loves Guardians of the
those weren't
Galaxy.
even the characters that any story that I had ever read in the comics. None of them were the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yondu was a Guardian of the Galaxy. He's the only character from the movies that was on the team. So yeah, and it's just and they're great. I can't imagine not having them. So
I'm really looking forward to Guardians 3. Like really, really.
But really, really going to be a long time.
Really. Huh?
Asgardians.
Asgardians.
The Asgardians of the Galaxy.
There's a Funhouse video titled Asgardians of the Galaxy.
That's great.
Anyway.
Should you give us our other Robert Downey Jr. news?
We do have another Robert Downey Jr. news. That there is a newly revealed alternate Iron Man post-credit scene.
And this would be Iron Man 1.
Yes.
Yes.
And this hints at the X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yep.
Radioactive bug bites and assorted mutants weren't enough. I have to deal with a spoiled brat who doesn't play well with others.
It's perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And so, yeah, and I think that shows that even at that point, they were probably looking to maybe play nice with Sony and Fox that long ago. They were like, all right, you know what? Let's figure this out. Let's have Tobey Maguire and the original X-Men movie cast. Let's have them interact with these Avengers. Let's figure out the billions of dollars at stake and all of that and make these, and then they probably were like, no, let's just keep everything for ourselves and use the characters that we own. But they were clearly open to it. And I love that idea. So.
It would have been amazing. Imagine how different the MCU would have been had they introduced the X-Men and Spider-Man into the MCU 10 years ago.
I don't know. It almost seems like I wonder how it would affect it, because it's like the whole concept of mutants in the world with the superheroes makes it like what we saw make less sense, because it seemed more like we got to see a world where there were no heroes and then slowly heroes came in, right? Like we ignored the fact that apparently Captain America already exists, and we had Iron Man where there was like the world is just normal, there's no superpowered beings of mention at all, and then this guy invents tech and we go from there. But if you were to say, like, retcon all that and say that mutants and X-Men were running around that whole time with like superpowers, don't you think that it would kind of diminish Iron Man, like his entire existence?
People would be like, all right, cool, this is just a guy in a suit.
Well, it's like Iron Man's super
We've already
powerful.
seen this.
Hopefully he doesn't fly too close to Magneto, who will just rip him apart.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Oh my God. Can you imagine Iron Man versus Magneto?
It's not a fight.
It would be so sad.
Magneto would actually not wake up. He would be asleep, and he would actually implode into himself. in the comics, Magneto ripped Wolverine's adamantium skeleton out of him. So, you know, he's not too squeamish when it comes to somebody getting in his way. So,
He does not mind.
Yeah.
But that would have been cool. That would have been interesting. I am looking forward to what we get to see in the future.
Another good question from Jack Dennis. Had they made a deal in 2008, would it be the Sam Raimi and Bryan Singer versions of Fox and so? I think absolutely. I think
so.
Tobey Maguire and our original X-Men cast, you know, Hugh Jackman and
Halle Berry.
James Marsden.
Really, James Marsden's at the top of your list.
James Marsden.
He's fucking
Patrick
Cyclops. He's one
great.
of the main guys.
How about Sir Patrick Stewart? Let's get him in
We're
there.
just listing
Just
people.
Sir
Given.
Ian McKellen. You have, you
I went
know,
with the leader of the team. What an ass.
well, he kind of is.
He is,
He's
yeah.
totally, yeah. But yeah, I think that's what it would have been. And, you know, like, I think you still would have done your movies, but you would have had crossover movies. And that would have been amazing. But it's probably better that we waited. You know, I think that everything, you know, it's like how we could have gotten a James Cameron X-Men movie in the late 90s. Zach and I talked to Chris Claremont about that on this show earlier this year. And honestly, I don't think that movie would have been an X-Men movie anywhere near as good as the Bryan Singer movies we got. I'm not trying to disparage...
Space Marines versus X-Men.
Right. I'm not even trying to disparage James Cameron as an amazing director. I just don't think that the storytelling for superhero characters, because if you remember, this would have been even before the first Tim Burton Batman. So superhero movies were
Wait,
not in
what? This was late 80s?
Yeah,
I thought you said 90s.
No,
That's why I
late,
was
well, if I
confused.
said 90s, I lied. Because the late 80s is when they first tried to do it.
Wow, yeah,
and
that would've been
it
horrible.
took until 2000 to finally get the X-Men on the screen. But it's just sort of like, so if they had done like Spider-Man interacting with all these people and the earlier versions of Spider-Man, I like Tobey Maguire, like Andrew Garfield. I just think it worked best the way they did it with Spidey. And it remains to be seen with the X-Men, you know, as to how they are incorporated into the MCU.
Oh, I would love to be in that writer's room where they're kicking around those ideas.
But you're not welcome.
No, they'd be like, get out, crazy blonde girl. What are you doing here?
They have your picture at security. It's like, do not let her in.
Well, yeah, because they keep trying to get in. And I know.
know.
Freaking letting me. I'm like, tell me all your secrets. I want to know. What do you think? Should we go into Marvel
think it's-
TV time? Or should we do our
let's
topic?
Let's do our big topic.
Let's do our
Because
topic.
TV time, we can always revisit next week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
we'll see how
fine.
it goes.
So this topic, we...
Sorry, Zeno Hour says swear jar for Zia.
Oh, did I swear?
You just used the F word.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have to put a swear jar right here.
Sorry, guys. Jeez, I don't even know I'm doing it. I need to keep an eye
Sorry,
on my
great
mouth.
question.
I'm a bad influence.
Panther 7. Would that mean that Eric Bana's Hulk would have been canon?
Yes.
Probably.
Best Nick Nolte in the MCU.
Oh, wow.
Which we need, by the way. We definitely need Nick Nolte in the MCU.
Yeah,
Sorry.
why
So anyway,
not?
you were going to get to our real topic. Though.
Yes, so our real topic is the least rewatchable movie in the MCU. Basically the one that you've seen one time and you're like, once is enough, I'm good.
Thanks, Cap.
Thank you.
That was nice.
Thank you. That was a really good
We're
one.
gonna need to save that drop for potty mouth over here.
Oh my gosh, I need to cool my jets. I just get so worked up.
Jets.
There you go. Thank you. I just need you to do that every time I'm about to swear.
So
Please do that.
we pitched this question to people on Twitter, but if you're watching live in the chat right now, let us know.
Please
if
let
you're
us
watching
know.
the archive
Very
version,
curious.
let us know, and you can also tweet at us. But yeah, so that's the setup: is least rewatchable movie
And I feel like
in the MCU.
And I feel like a lot of people's answers were one of the movies that I liked.
Yes.
That I think I have
just
only
went
watched
through
it
your
once.
tweets to see what you liked best.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, we so we got a lot of answers that were Thor to the Dark World.
Yes.
And so
didn't hate that
it is
movie.
actually none of our choices.
No.
Because you legitimately like that movie.
I legitimately liked
And
it. I'm gonna go watch it again.
I actually need to rewatch it because I'm like, you know what? Maybe I've judged it
Just
harshly.
like, oh god.
But should we go ladies first? Zia, can you tell us what your least watchable Marvel MCU movie is?
I was gonna let you go first, Christian.
I don't want to.
Okay. I think that people are not going to be surprised about my answer, even though I did say I was going to watch it again because I feel like
you're not going
I'm
to.
not going to. It is Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
a
didn't
good
like
one.
that movie. It was just, to me, it was so flat.
Wow.
Look, I disagree about that because I liked it. However, it's a little heavy-handed. Look, all the points that you've made about it, I'm not like, well, everything you say sounds crazy. I'm like, no, there are certainly flaws with that movie, and I can understand it being your... Yeah, see, look right there. Look at that. See? You can watch her again.
No, I'm good.
What about that am I supposed to like?
I mean,
Thank you, Jeff.
I like Brie Larson.
It's such a cool suit. That's what I'm saying.
And other things.
You like her in other things. Okay, let me put it this way. Would you rather watch Captain Marvel 5 times, or would you rather watch Room 5 times? Where she's trapped in a basement.
Couple
and forced
things
to
on
give
that.
birth.
Oh, no.
First, I realized as soon as she brought it up, I've seen every Marvel movie more than once except Captain Marvel, so that should have been my answer.
Boom.
But this is sort of your approach towards what you find to be least rewatchable.
Yes. But then, funny that you mentioned that because I own a copy of Room and have never rewatched it. Not because I don't love the movie, that's why I got it, but because it's just like that's a tough movie to get through.
That's
like,
why
I watched that 5 times.
That's why I picked it because I don't know. It's great.
I heard it was good and didn't watch it because I heard the plot and I was like, oh, that's sad.
Not to marginalize it, Schindler's List is an amazing movie. Do you want to watch it again?
I saw you making out at Schindler's List.
Okay, that's a Seinfeld reference, and I have to explain why you said it. Because take it out of context. Yeah, but anyway. So that's not your answer, though. It's not Captain Marvel.
No, that's not my answer. My answer was Ant-Man and the Wasp, a.k.a. Ant-Man 2.
Which the fact that Zach is not here
I know.
is going to help this conversation.
I know.
But when he watches this, he's going to be infuriated. And Ryan, are you chiming in for a reason?
Absolutely, that's my least favorite as well. Second to Captain Marvel. I remember,
so you guys hate the movies with women in the title?
I just think the thing about Captain Marvel is I just think it's not an essential film other than just explaining why she's in Endgame. I think that movie kind of missed out on a few key points with her flaw. Like I think like there should have been a whole arc where she learned how to fly. That should have been a bigger moment than it was. But with Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think this movie just totally undermines the first movie in terms of the rules that they set up in the first one. They kind of just abandoned them in this one. And I was talking about it before you with the show. They are just shrinking buildings at some points and just making them grow up. I thought you had to have a suit. I thought you had to throw the little chip discs at something to shrink it. It didn't seem great. There were no stakes. You're in San Francisco. They're trying to get the mom back, and as soon as they get her back, she's gone. It just doesn't seem like a movie that mattered all too much.
Very valid points.
What were your overall reasons, though, Jeff, why you picked it?
I picked it because it was a movie where after I saw it the first time, I felt like I got it. You know, there was nothing about that movie that I was like, oh, I need to explore that further. Like, this was interesting. Like, maybe I didn't catch it. I was like, no, I got it. It felt like a very surface level movie where it's like, okay, seen it, but there's nothing of value to go back and watch. Now, that said, I have seen it again. And I was just like, yep, it was one of those movies that was on. I didn't dislike it. I wasn't like, let's turn this off. But I was just like, nah, I'm not really invested in this story at all because I know what happens and the stakes just don't mean anything to me.
So I had an impression of Ant-Man and the Wasp, but then rewatched it with my wife right before we saw Endgame because she just hadn't seen it. I think because I saw it with you. Whoops.
Wow.
But
wow.
That's all right. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, you know what? I like this. This is a lot more fun than I remember. And yeah, look, you're absolutely right, Ryan. The rules don't apply, but to me it was fun. I really liked watching them interact. I think the biggest problem is it's a villain problem in that movie.
Yes.
So, but I think that it's fun and it's more rewatchable than other films, including my choice, Iron Man 2. And I think that there are some people...
I don't know why I said it like that.
It's a little bit Yoda, and of course a little bit the Chamberlain from the Dark Crystal.
I love both of those things.
Yes, friends. So and a lot of people I think will be quick to say Iron Man 2. How about Iron Man 3? No, I like Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2. It really comes down to something, and it's Mickey Rourke. I just can't. I cannot take it. I can't buy it. just it doesn't
You
work.
turned into a white girl in Ugg boots there. I just can't.
I
can't
just
even.
can't even. I can't deal. And my boss and Jeff's former boss, Dennis Miller, has a joke about that movie. Is Mickey Rourke didn't even know he was in a movie. He just thought it was Tuesday. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of it. And I love that we got Black Widow in that movie. And those scenes are great. Those sequences are great. There are good things in the movie. I cannot watch that movie beginning to end. Oh. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about pick a couple scenes from your favorite one. We're talking about sitting down and rewatching the movie. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just so angry that I ever watched it in the first place.
I'm sorry. I just realized one reason why I might disagree with you slightly on Iron Man 2. Because
yes.
I was on board with disliking it. And
Yeah.
then I just remembered that Sam Rockwell's in that movie. So you can't.
Hey, Sam Rockwell's in a
yes.
lot of movies.
He
I'll
is, but-
as Justin Hammer, no, I'm fine. I'll go see him in other movies. Okay. I'll go see him in the Way Back or whatever that movie was.
That was the movie.
That's one of my favorites.
I love that one.
Yeah.
What are people saying in chat?
So I'm gonna go with Twitter first because I have it
Twitter
open.
first. Yeah, good call.
Interesting, the Captain Marvel point of view, because Tom Hennigan says on Twitter, we couldn't make it through it one time. So he's going to say that's at least rewatchable, couldn't finish it. And Josh, the Amazing Animator, also says Captain Marvel.
Oh, cool. People agree with
And
me.
we're getting a few of those. And look, we've gotten an Iron Man 3, but there are so many Thor: The Dark Worlds. I'm just going to say it generally. Here's a surprising one. Matt Lockwood. Civil War.
What?
Outside of the airport scene, it's an inevitable slog for me. I know that's
now. We are at war.
It's true, and it is an unpopular opinion. And you're absolutely right, Matt. I love everything with Spider-Man in it. I think that I said that I would be trapped on an island with that movie. I'm wearing the shirt today for those watching on YouTube. And that's the point. Every opinion is welcome here. That one surprises me, but even not liking the movie, he gives a shout out to the airport sequence because just how great is that?
Come on.
Yeah. So you can't even
Agreed.
totally throw it out. And then we have people who want to throw out a lot of movies. The first two Thors and both Ant-Mans.
Wow.
So I'm like,
The first
wow.
Ant-Man was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Come
I like
on.
the first
And,
Ant-Man a lot.
Bailey Viss points out one that was a runner-up for me, Age of Ultron. It's just, it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
some good stuff
I get
in it.
that.
I like all the stuff before Ultron. I like when they're all hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
I like Cap trying to lift a hammer and Thor gets nervous and takes it away from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like all that stuff. But Elizabeth Olsen's accent, I can't talk about enough on this show. I really think they should go back and do ADR, additional dialogue recording, and just give her an American accent in that movie. And
It's too bad George Lucas didn't direct it.
I will snap my existing Blu-ray in half and buy the new one that has the American accent if they're willing to do that. I don't mind buying it again.
You should just make a personal plea to Elizabeth Olsen. Please redo all your lines so that I can make a new cut of this film.
Please, for the love of God.
People are throwing in the Incredible Hulk. I legitimately like the Incredible Hulk. I think Ed Norton did a great job. It is very different than Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, but I like that movie.
I do too. I liked it when I watched it.
I think Hulk is a really hard story to tell. And I think that that's probably the best we're ever going to get. I don't know that you can tell the Hulk story as a standalone movie. You could do something, running forward with him. You could do like a Planet Hulk or something like that. But I think that...
I already did that.
Right, exactly. So that's the problem.
I want to add one quick thing.
Sure,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I love this question so much, guys. I think it's such a great topic to talk about because the thing about the MCU movies is that none of them are awful. They're all like better than a really bad movie in theaters. You know,
agree.
I'd still watch any of these over half the stuff that comes out each year.
Cartoons.
So I think
Batman vs Superman,
right, and I mean, I
Justice
think
League.
so. When it comes to
Man
rewatchability,
of
that's
Steel.
just all we're talking about here is rewatchability.
Yeah,
and
and we're talking
Right.
about rewatchability.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Absolutely.
Jeff, I saw Captain Marvel with you. You didn't love it, but you weren't like, this is awful.
No.
Like you didn't take out your phone and start playing a Star Wars game on your phone.
It's always possible.
It's always possible. I saw you do that during the Super Bowl with the Patriots.
That did happen.
Wow.
We were getting our asses kicked
Okay,
before
sure
the
were.
greatest comeback in history of
that-
sports.
You put your phone down. But I want to get to some more, and then we'll get to the chat in a second. These surprise me. Troy 55, Avengers Infinity War, It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It can still be overwhelming. Jordan, Darth Hingle is the username. This will be a hot take, and you're right. Avengers Endgame. You start the movie in an incredibly low place emotionally, and it really hits you with body shot after body shot emotionally, and you get some payoff, and then it hits you with one of the most emotionally affecting deaths I've ever seen. So he's not saying that it's not good, but that he doesn't want to put himself through it.
I understand that.
That's like me with Room.
Yeah, right, and that's why I don't want it as what we talked about last week, my Desert Island Marvel movie. It was not going to be Endgame. I am not going to spend every day that bummed out. It's a great movie, but boy, is it not rewatchable.
I would rather rewatch Infinity War than Endgame.
Yeah. It's somehow it's more uplifting when everybody gets turned into dust. The last Spider-Man movie, from Free Honesty, I assume he means Far From Home. I know people that didn't like it, but that's but let's get to our friends in the chat. Let's see. Funny, talking about Incredible Hulk. People are like, it doesn't feel like an MCU movie. We have 3 different people who are like, Liv Tyler, though.
I love Liv Tyler.
She's great in it.
Because she's great. You know, I'm just going to always love her because of The Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, forever. She can do no wrong. I'm going to go see Ad Astra this weekend. I'm excited that she's in it.
So's Jeff.
I'm going to see it tonight.
You guys might see it together. Senor Nerd wants to clap back at us.
Ooh.
Captain Marvel, $1 billion film, is the least watchable. Hey, you know what I never want to see?
Yeah,
you know what I
me.
never want to see again in my life? Avatar. I don't care that they're making 5 sequels. I'm done. I'm good. I saw it the once. I don't need it. So how much a movie I don't want to see Titanic again either. Now I know I've said 2 James Cameron movies, but it's
Sorry,
true.
James.
He's going to be fine.
He will. Yeah,
He
he's not
doesn't
going to
need
miss
me.
our $40.
I'm going to be all right. And so what a movie makes? No. And look, I personally like Captain Marvel, but I can understand. Look, people don't want to watch it and rewatch it again and again and again. And by the way, Gamer Girl says Age of Ultron gets better on rewatch.
Interesting.
I would like to rewatch it. So
watch the movie.
I just
What were you
want to
gonna
point this out to the clapback, and I'm not even like, it's like the difference to me is when Black Panther came out and everybody was like, we got to watch this, and that's why it made $1 billion, and it was like good, and people were like, yeah, but go see it because it's really good. And then like with Captain Marvel, it felt like a similar movement is why so many people were flocking to the theater initially to see it. But then it wasn't getting the word of mouth. It wasn't like, oh, Captain Marvel was a great movie. Definitely go see it for that. It was like, no, go see it because you need to go see Captain Marvel because you need to know. I even feel like the numbers for Ant-Man and the Wasp were totally skewed the same way Captain Marvel is totally skewed because of the anticipation of Endgame. People were seeing those movies because they were like, I want to know everything I'm supposed to know going into this big, epic finale of sorts.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that I liked Black Panther substantially more than I liked Captain Marvel. Black Panther was great.
Yes.
I watched it and I was
Black
like, I had
Panther-
a great time.
Black
it was
Panther's
so good.
great. I did see it a couple times in the theater. I
saw it twice.
And I don't remember that part of like, oh, you know, they could have cut this out.
No.
There's
it
not
really
a single
slows down.
scene
No.
you can
Yeah.
think of that you're like, yeah, I really could have done without that awesome scene where they're fighting or that scene where they're talking about good stuff.
No, it was
Yeah.
great from start to finish.
And
Great
final
cast.
comment from the chat before we wrap. Gamer Girl, I will only watch the Avatar sequels if they're shorter and have better stories. You're going to strike out twice there because there's 3 sequels. And do you think that Dances with Smurfs is going to get a little bit better with they tell it 4
That's what I was
times?
going to ask. Like, they've already done, like, there's no sequels
Yeah.
to Dances with Wolves, so now he has to make an original script.
But there's a lot of episodes of the Smurfs, so you see.
That's true.
You're able
so
to
who's the Gargamel of the Avatar universe?
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy.
Say that.
Anyway,
Oh, boy.
I love these conversations, but
These
as
are
you'll
really
notice,
fun.
we're out of time.
We are out of time. This was such a fun show. And honestly, I have sometimes the most fun just sitting here and talking about rumors. Thank you so much for joining us as we talked about our rumors. If you want to talk more about rumors and everything else, where can everybody find you?
Oh, you can find me on
Christian.
Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And of course, you can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel News PTN. Thanks to Colpido, who helps us out with that.
Yes, and Jeff, where
You can find me at Jeff DeRay or my alternate personality, DeRay_Jeff.
Yeah.
Ooh,
DeRay_Jeff is the way better follow. And
That's
just in
probably true.
complete honesty.
It's actually very true. And I'm Xia Anderson, and you can find me at Xia_land. That is XIA_land. And until next time, Excelsior.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.